And thank you to all of you for being here today and your willingness to serve. I want to begin my questions to you, Mr. Berry, and I appreciate the discussion that we had in my office. Project labor agreements, as I mentioned to you, prevailing wage, both issues that are important to the labor community in Alaska, and I think really provide incentives for Alaskans to go into the trades. Can you share with the committee your view on PLAs and the prevailing wage?
Absolutely, Senator, and I really appreciate your making the time previously to meet with me. I was very grateful for that. So this is. I'm also thankful for the opportunity to clear up some confusion here, because in my labor chapter in Project 2025, I opted not to take a position. I think it's been common among Republicans and conservatives in particular to be very critical of Davis-Bacon. I chose to take a position of agnosticism and essentially of openness, and in fact was criticized by a dissenting view in that chapter for not taking the opportunity to go after the law. So I would be completely committed to enforcing that law in my relevant part as solicitor.
Thank you. Mr. Rogers, let me ask you, again, when we had an opportunity to talk about the career opportunities that are available in the trades because of good wages, career options that are created by Davis-Bacon. Do you support prevailing wage?
Senator, as we discussed, thank you for that opportunity to have our conversation. I think it's important that the Wage and Hour Division continue to do its enforcement efforts with respect to Davis-Bacon, like all of its other statutes, and it's important to make sure that prevailing wages are being properly calculated and applied in ways that further and enhance the purpose of the Act.
And just then for follow-on, do you support the current method for calculating prevailing wages in a given area of the country?
Yes, it's important to make sure that we are doing those calculations based on appropriate data and that they are doing the work that the statute and Congress intended. Very
good, thank you. Let me turn to you, Mr. Esposito. Thank you for being before the committee. The Inspector General Act of 1978 states that inspectors general should be appointed, quote, without regard to political affiliation, close quote. It creates an expectation of independence and objectivity. So can you share with the committee how you feel an Inspector General ought to approach their job as it pertains to getting involved in partisan activities, and then what mechanisms you would put in place to not only protect you, but your office from real or perceived political pressures or perhaps the perception of improper political influence?
Well, thank you very much for the question, Senator. And as I mentioned before, I look forward to, if confirmed, leading the Inspector General's Office of the Department of Labor without fear or favor. I've spent my entire adult life as a public servant, most of it being a New York City detective, sharing a car with members of my team, different color skin, different political background, certainly different economic backgrounds. My life depended on them, theirs on me. And you got out of the car every day to do the job. It didn't matter who the mayor of the city of New York was. It didn't matter who the police commissioner was. We took an oath, and I take that oath as I would here, and that is to root out waste, fraud, and abuse in the Department of Labor so that, and as I mentioned before, I know that there's been talk of reigning in the golden age of the American worker, and I don't believe that any of us should be perceived as being partisan by wanting to rein in that golden age. That should not be a Democrat or Republican issue. That should be an American issue. And I think the work that we need to do in the Inspector General's office is to make sure that the workforce, in order to receive fair wages, in order to be have safe work conditions, in order to eradicate child trafficking and exploitation in labor, we need to make sure that all those resources are dedicated. And if confirmed, I will, like I mentioned in my opening statement, travel to each of the regional offices and hear from the men and women on the ground to find out what is actually happening, what we can do better. And quite frankly, I think that they need to feel that they're heard and that they're believed in, and that would make it a more efficient and more productive Inspector General's office.
Well, and I appreciate what you've shared at the end. I think it is critically important that it be perceived that within the office, there is no political judgment, there is no political bias, and that people feel that they will be treated and judged fairly.